A demolition crew opens a wall in a 1970s building. Gray, crumbly insulation flakes off a pipe and drifts into the air. Nobody's wearing a respirator. Nobody checked what was in the walls. That single mistake can trigger a WorkSafe BC stop work order, a six-figure cleanup bill. And here's the part nobody thinks about, a health consequence that won't show up for another 20 to 30 years. Asbestos-related diseases are the #1 cause of workplace death in Canada. The fibers are invisible, the exposure is silent, and the damage is irreversible. If you work in construction, trades, or renovation in Canada, this video is for you. So what is asbestos exactly? It's a group of 6 naturally occurring mineral fibers. They're fine, durable, and they resist heat, fire, and chemical damage. That's why builders wove it into insulation, mixed it into cement, sprayed it onto steel, and pressed it into floor tiles across Canada from the 1930s right through the late 1980s. The problem is what happens when those materials get disturbed. Cut a floor tile, sand a ceiling, pull apart old pipe wrap, and you release microscopic fibers into the air. Those fibers are small enough to pass through your lungs' natural defenses and lodge deep in the tissue. Your body cannot break them down. They sit there for decades, causing scarring and triggering disease. 3 diseases you need to know about. 1. Asbestosis, chronic scarring of the lungs, progressive, incurable. 2. Lung cancer, risk skyrockets, especially with smoking. Average latency 20 to 30 years. And 3. Mesothelioma, an aggressive cancer of the lining around your lungs, almost exclusively caused by asbestos exposure, latency of 30 to 40 years. And here's the stat that should get your attention. Median survival after diagnosis is 12 to 18 months. Canada banned new asbestos in 2018. But here's the critical point. The ban only stops new asbestos entering the supply chain. It does nothing about the millions of tons already installed in buildings. If you are working on a structure built before 1990, the asbestos is still there. Most workers who get caught off guard aren't in denial. They simply didn't know what to look for. Asbestos was mixed into over 3,000 commercial products. Many of them look completely ordinary. Here's your checklist. Pipe and boiler insulation, often a gray or white fibrous wrap. One of the most dangerous sources because it's frequently friable. That means it crumbles easily by hand. Vinyl floor tiles, especially the old 9x9s. Ceiling tiles. Drywall joint compound used to tape seams. Textured coatings, popcorn ceilings, stucco. Vermiculite insulation in attics, particularly the Zonalite brand. Cement products like roofing shingles and siding panels. Gaskets, packings, fire doors in mechanical rooms. Here's the part that trips up even experienced contractors. You cannot identify asbestos by looking at it. A floor tile that looks identical to a non-asbestos tile could test positive. Pipe insulation that looks like fiberglass might actually be chrysotile. The only way to confirm the presence of asbestos is laboratory analysis by a qualified person. WorkSafe BC is clear. If you suspect a material contains asbestos but cannot confirm it through testing, you must treat it as asbestos-containing material until proven otherwise. And here's an open loop for you. The law just got a lot stricter in British Columbia. We'll cover exactly what changed and what it means for your job site in a moment. Since January 1st, 2024, British Columbia has enforced the strictest asbestos regulations in Canada. Asbestos abatement contractors must now hold a valid WorkSafe BC license. Workers performing abatement must hold a WorkSafe B issued certificate, and employers must record the details of every certificate held by workers on their site. BC is the first jurisdiction in Canada to require this licensing program. And it's not just dedicated removal companies. Renovation contractors, demolition contractors, fire and flood restoration, even plumbers offering removal as part of their services. If you touch asbestos on a building, you need a license. There are 4 certification levels. Level 1, Foundational Awareness, for transport, disposal, and general knowledge. Level 2, Asbestos Safety. This is your frontline abatement worker. Level 3, Asbestos Safety Leader, for supervisors and project managers overseeing abatement sites. And Level S, Surveyor Safety, for those performing asbestos inspections and sampling. Certificates are valid for 3 years. Within 12 months of expiry, you can renew by retaking the exam. Wait longer than that, and you're starting the full training program from scratch. For employers and general contractors, even if your own crew doesn't do abatement, you are required to verify that any asbestos abatement contractor you hire holds a valid license before they start work. If they're not licensed and you let them on site, you're in violation too. In 2023 alone, WorkSafe BC issued more than 68 penalties for asbestos-related violations across the province, and that was before full enforcement even began. If you operate nationally, build your training to BC's standard now, because the expectation across the industry is that other provinces will follow. You're mid-renovation. A worker pulls back a section of ceiling and finds crumbly, grayish insulation that doesn't look modern. What now? Step 1. Stop work immediately. Do not continue disturbing the material. Do not try to clean it up. Step 2. Evacuate the immediate area. Move workers away from the potential exposure zone. Post warning signs to prevent re-entry. Step 3. Do not attempt to sample it yourself. Disturbing suspected asbestos without proper training and equipment makes the problem worse. Step 4. Contact a qualified asbestos professional. They will collect samples, assess the situation, and classify the risk level. Step 5. If workers may have been exposed to airborne fibers, notify WorkSafe BC. Exposure to designated substances must be reported. Step 6. Document everything. What happened, when, where, who was present, and what actions were taken. This documentation is part of your exposure control plan requirements. The worst decision you can make is to ignore it and keep working. A single uncontrolled release can contaminate an entire building, require professional decontamination, and expose everyone on site. The cost of stopping for one day to get a professional assessment is nothing compared to the cost of a full-scale asbestos incident. Let's recap. If you take nothing else from this video, remember these 4 points. 1. Asbestos is the #1 cause of workplace death in Canada, and the damage shows up decades after exposure. 2. You cannot identify it by sight. If you suspect it, treat it as asbestos until lab testing proves otherwise. 3. In BC, abatement contractors must be licensed and workers must be certified. Verify before you hire. 4. If you find suspected asbestos during work, stop, evacuate, call a professional, report if needed, and document everything. There's no safe level of asbestos exposure. The occupational exposure limit is 0.1 fibers per cubic centimeter, but that is the maximum allowable, not a safe threshold. If you're a contractor, employer, or safety manager and you're not sure your asbestos management plan is up to current standards, Safety Evolution can help. We build exposure control plans, asbestos inventories, and training matrices for crews across Canada. Book a free 30-minute safety assessment at safetyevolution.com. You'll get a 90-day action plan whether you work with us or not. If this video helped you understand asbestos risks better, share it with your crew, and subscribe for more workplace safety content that's actually useful. Stay safe out there.